dark side. Light this bitch up.
What is up, everybody? My name is James D. Fiore, and this is Blackballed. It's been a while. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. I've been traveling on business. I got a kitty cat who's probably going to jump on my computer any second now. And I wanted to sort of relaunch with an episode that sort of embodies what we like to do here at Crier Media and what I like to do here on Blackballed, which is interview somebody that may be controversial, but nobody seems to talk to in a way that sort of is an exercise of good faith. And I wanted to do that today. And so my guest today is Artur Pawlowski. Sir, how are you today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
No problem. Thank you for coming. Okay, so you were recently found guilty of a couple of offenses, and then the election happened. You got 99 votes in your riding. Can you explain if you think that the charges and the subsequent conviction had a lot to do with the amount of votes that you got in the election?
Oh, well, I guess you are you are part of the society that still believes that elections are actually democratic and not rigged. We already have, and that just few days after the election, proof in our hands that the election was rigged. Everywhere I would travel around Alberta, I would have 400, 500 people coming, standing ovations, packed halls, and yet you're telling me that less than 100 people voted for me. It doesn't happen like that.
What kind of hard evidence do you have that it was rigged?
Well, we have evidence that on the municipal addresses in the city of Calgary, there were additional people placed on the ballot. So, for example, you would go to vote and there were other names with the same last name on your home address. And that's just one of it. Then we have another one that there is a difference between the scrutineers and actual count in end. So when you compare the scrutineers, what they were collecting as the votes were coming, with the end results, there is sometimes hundreds of different votes. Of course, another big problem that we have seen was no one was checking if you are a citizen or not, if you were actually living in a province of Alberta or not. No one really cared about that. And of course, how do you know? We probably could vote 1,000 times back and forth, and it happened during our municipal election when they had Nancy. So there's so much stuff going on. I don't know if you are aware, but today, judge was looking at some of the evidence as we speak with the right now Minister of Justice, Tyler Shandro. There were 4 candidates in court today with lawyers looking at the problems
wasn't that because the vote discrepancy between first and second was less than 300 votes for most of those cases?
Well, you're talking about Tyler Shandro. That's in that case, yes, that's correct. However, in other places, we're talking about hundreds of votes that appeared out of nowhere, and that different names were attached to people's home addresses. But in the end of the day, the moment they brought tabulators, the moment they brought the machines, I was not delusional that of course they're going to have the outcome they want, just like they had during the municipal election last time we had it, just like they had with Nahad Nenshi, the previous mayor. And when they introduced the tabulators in this election, the first thing when I learned that, I said, well, it's over before this whole thing even started. It was a different thing when we door knocked and talked to actual human beings, when they were taking selfies with us, when they were telling us we're voting for solidarity. And then in the end, with such a huge support, we had few votes. Okay, whatever.
Okay, you're suspicious, but you don't actually have hard evidence. You have things that make you suspicious that there might have been something happening.
No, no, no. We have evidence. We have actual evidence. Just like the last time we had hardcore documents, is the problem we're facing that no judge really is willing to go through the evidence and challenge the elections of Alberta. That's the problem. We used to have checks and balances. We used to have accountability. We used to have media that was watching the politicians and the judges. We used to have the judicial system watching the politicians and everybody else. Right now, all of those people are combined in one. We do not have checks and balances anymore. We just have two parties, the same coin. Do you know that no one else got in during this election except those two parties? No one, nothing, not even one seat. Come on. It's like, seriously? We have no difference of opinions in this country anymore. It's only them or them, just like in the United States of America, only the Democrats and the Republicans. Come on. Wherever I go, there is 10,000 different opinions. And suddenly here we have a mayor that was that won. No one knew her. No one even knows her name. But suddenly she won in every riding by majority, just out of the blue, using using their crooked machines. Sorry, if you want to believe that, good luck.
Okay, but you don't have actual hard evidence. And what I mean by hard evidence is evidence that you can take to court and say, if you exhibit A, Your Honor, it clearly shows that this vote was rigged, and what that evidence would be. What I meant by, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to badger you here, but I'm just, when I say hard evidence, I mean proof that something was rigged, not suspicions because it looked like you had a lot of support and you took a lot of selfies and everything, and then you only got 99 votes, but actual hard evidence.
Well,
And
I
it's
just
okay.
want
I'm not trying to pin you on this. I'm just
no, no, no,
wondering
no.
what
And
the hard evidence would be.
in an end, I am so happy that I didn't win. I know this is a bizarre maybe for a person like you. I hate politics. I hate being around
Why would you
politicians.
run?
Well, because I was making a statement. I
Okay.
was telling them that if they will not leave me alone, I'm going to cause them trouble. And their trouble just began. We just outseated three snakes that did this to us, did this to me. Tyler Chandro took a boot because of our party, Copping and Casey Madu. And this is just the beginning. We're building a party. I'm sick and tired of this corruption. And if they will not allow me to be just a pastor, a person that feeds the homeless people and preaches the gospel, I will engage them at every corner, everywhere they go, political, media, and also in a public eyes through the protests and rallies when I'm finally free from the house arrest. So I was sending a message to them. Listen, you want to fight? You don't want to leave me alone and people like me. You got to remember, in the province of Alberta, we have 3,000 prisoners or people under the boots of the COVID tyranny still fighting in the court system. There are 4 boys still in prison, innocent until proven guilty. Pedophiles, murderers, drug dealers, bank robbers are outside on bail, and those 4 men without the criminal charges are still rotting in prison in the province of Alberta, in the so-called conservative land, the Bible Belt of Canada. I mean, this is everything is rigged, everything is upside down. So what I was doing, I was reminding them it took Polish people 9 years to finally destroy the communism in Poland. I started this party, believe it or not, in 9 days. In 9 days, I established a political entity and I managed to have 49 candidates. You know what I'm going to do in 4 years? The sky is the limit. When I was the leader of the Independence Party of Alberta, I brought within few weeks over 3,000 people to our party. I'm going to do it again. Now I took a little bit time off because it was very intense. There was a lot of things going on in our church, on the streets. We have a lots of homeless that we're dealing with. We're feeding thousands of people, election candidates, training them, talking to them. So I didn't have time for anything else. So I'm going to take a breather, and then I'm going to start plowing. I mean, come September, either I'm in jail or outside of jail, I'm going to form the political party that they should start fearing right now, because um, a, we have a total confidence that sooner or later this great evil not only going to be exposed, but people will be so sick and tired, just like they're tired about the transgender homo fascism, the grooming of the children, the pedophilia that we have left and right. The people are rising up. I'm contacted by the Muslim people right now. I was contacted by the Hindus. Hindus came to me and they said, we're sick and tired of this evil, wicked attack on our children. We need to unite. So give me some time. If 9 days it took me to form a political entity, I'm telling you, soon we're going to have every riding, and in the next election, I'm going to have a candidate in every riding in this province.
You said the word homofascism. I don't think I've ever heard that word before. I want to talk to you a little bit about that issue though, but let's leave the transgender stuff out of it for a second, just because it is too long of a, like we could do a whole show on that. So I just want to leave that out, and we'll talk about the LGB community. And I want to know if you think that there's a possibility that maybe people think that your views on this are a little archaic and outdated. I want to also know if you in 2013, if or 2012 it might have been, did you go on record blaming the floods in Alberta on homosexuals?
Well, first of all, I'm sure you did not read my letter. So we can talk about this, but you got to go and first read what I put. It was a letter to the church, not to the public, not outside of the church. This was a letter to the Christians. If you read the whole letter, then we can go back and have this conversation.
Okay, well, I don't think it matters who you read it to. I only care about it whether or not it was your thoughts.
So my thoughts is very clear. You can call it archaic, but homosexuality, transgenderism, sexual perversion, pedophilia, grooming of the children, sexualization of the children, sex outside marriage, all of those things are sin. You may disagree with that. I don't really care. The same way I don't care what kind of a coffee you drink. You can drink your coffee black. I don't care. That's up to you.
But do you think the gay people care?
Well, first of all, I'm gay. I'm happy. They're not gay. They're not happy. I counsel homosexual people, and they're not happy. You know, transgender people, 50% of them that do a surgery commit suicide. That doesn't tell me that they're happy. They're very miserable. They don't know what to do with themselves. They are hooked on drugs. They come to me for counseling. You know, I feed homosexual people. And
no, I know you feed the homeless, and they're made up of a very large milieu of overall society. I got that part. Yeah. I want to know if you think that some natural disasters are God's wrath against homosexuality.
Oh, I 100% I believe that God from time to time uses natural disasters to awaken the people. I mean, flood is a perfect example of a natural disaster.
Are you but don't you think that explains why you might have gotten 99 votes? Because what you just said, Jerry Falwell said once that the 9/11 attacks was God's answer to the AIDS crisis. And you were kind of saying the same thing, except natural disasters instead of 9/11. I need to understand, in 2023, you don't have to necessarily agree with somebody's choices in life, but to say that the omnipotent being that you believe in would commit murder in order to punish society for housing these people or for allowing these people to live their lives is kind of crazy. And it's very hateful. And I'm wondering if you're able to prepare yourself to maybe come to grips with the fact that you're not popular because you say hateful things.
Well, if having hundreds of people coming to my town halls is not popular, I don't know how many people will come to your town hall. I had 600 people showing up at the premier's own riding just a few months ago. I'm on a tour right now being invited. I have 10,000, 15,000 people coming to hear me speak. Maybe to you that's not popular. To me, that's good enough. I'm not looking for more. If it comes to my views, why they're hateful? Because they're different than yours.
No, they're hateful because you just said that your God will commit murder in order to express himself over his dislike of homosexuals. And I find that to be hateful. I don't find that to be like getting my coffee black. I find that to be taking my coffee and throwing it in the face of a child and then throwing him off a building. That sounds very hateful.
Yeah, but why you're talking to me about this? Talk to God about it. I didn't write the Bible. The Bible is very clear. If you commit sin and you will not repent from that sin, you're going to end up in hell. If you have a problem with that, well, you got to talk to the one that wrote the book. I
Well,
didn't.
if you can get Constantine on the phone, I will gladly speak to Constantine. He can tell me why he concluded those. Listen, the Bible saying the Bible says, and then telling me that God will smite those that sin, isn't very convincing to me as a non-believer. I need to
Well, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you believe or not. That's up to you, not up to me. You're free not to believe.
But you seem to want to take your beliefs and blanket society with them and make a statement that God is capable of literal murder because he doesn't agree with the lifestyle of some of the people on earth. And I find that to be kind of batshit.
Well, it could be to you. I have a problem with the people that are grooming children. I have a problem with the pedophiles that are dressing themselves in a weird, sexual, perverted way in front of little children. Here is the thing: if you have the urge to dress yourself in a sexual, perverted way in front of toddlers, you're a pervert. Period. Full stop. There is something messed up in your brain when you do stuff like this in front of little children. Like, why would you? I don't care what you do in your bed. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. That's your personal thing. It's not my business what you do in your bedroom. Why do you have this urge to plaster the whole society everywhere I look with your sexual preferences? To me, that means you're a pervert. If you have that urge, I don't march around the cities with my wife naked to show to the whole world what is my sexual
Do
preference.
you think that's because your sexual preference as a heterosexual male, assuming that's what you are, is that your rights haven't been impeded with in historically in society? Like if you're a gay man, and I don't mean happy, I mean gay man interested in other men. You
Homosexual man.
Right. You had put up with a whole, like, you had to, if you were a gay person, male or female, you had to hide who you were until like basically the 60s. And that wasn't fun either, because then you had to get abused by society and by police and by the courts and this and that. Like, Alan Turing basically helped the Allies win World War II, but then was jailed for being a homosexual, was stripped of all of his security clearances, and then committed suicide.
You're
So,
talking about the guy of Enigma.
right, the guy that
Well,
broke Enigma. So I'm
well,
just
he
curious.
didn't. Well, first of all, he didn't. It was too polished.
But my greater point is that he was then marginalized and then put in jail and then committed suicide, all because he was gay. So it's not the same for Artur Pawlowski as it was for Alan Turing,
No,
right? Like
no,
you,
no,
you
no,
didn't
no.
have to fight for straight rights.
No,
Is
no,
what I'm saying.
listen. Do you know where the Slavs come from? You know what the word Slavic comes from? Because the white people,
What does that
Slav,
have to do with what I just said?
it has everything to do, because we in Poland, behind the Iron Curtain, were taken as slaves throughout hundreds of years, through centuries. And you don't see me marching on the streets of Calgary and saying my rights before were violated, and my great grandfather was taken as a slave, and then when I was growing up behind the Iron Curtain, under the boots of the Soviets, under the boots of
Yes,
the communists.
yes, but Arthur, I understand that, but you just said something out loud that would make a gay person look at you and be like, "This man hates me." When you say that your God caused a flood that killed people because that man is gay, so that is the difference between 2023 Arthur and 2023 gay person, right?
Homosexuality is a perversion. It's unnatural, against biology perversion. And it reminds me of the story when I was on the streets feeding the homeless, and I was delivering a sermon, and a prostitute started to yell at me and cursed me and F you and F that. So finally I stopped and, what is your beef? And she says, well, you are talking about God. God is love. And what I'm doing, I'm giving love to men. Therefore, you cannot say that what I'm doing is sinful. I mean, Where does this stop? I mean, who decides what's natural and what's unnatural? Homosexual act is a violent act. It's an unnatural act. Full stop. You can take it, you can leave it. I don't care. Again, I am delivering biology 101. I'm telling you, this is unnatural. This is not the way it was designed. Those two things do not match, period, full stop. Even animals know it. So why do I have to see it? Why am I subjected to this craziness non-stop wherever I go? I mean, I can't even watch a movie right now without being indoctrinated or attacked by someone's preferences in sexuality in their bed. Leave it to yourself. No one, I've never ever seen in my life a homosexual people being attacked. I've seen
Really?
never,
You've
never.
never seen the Muslims that came up to you and congratulate you on your views on the LGBT community. You've never seen video of people in Afghanistan being thrown off rooftops because they're gay. You've never seen
No, no,
that.
no, no. I'm not talking about Afghanistan. Like, come on.
I'm just saying.
Have you seen Christians being chopped, their heads losing? I mean, are we going to go into a video? I'm talking about Canada. We're living here. Here is democracy. Here, all of our rights should be protected. I've seen Christians persecuted. I am the most persecuted person in this country right
Oh,
now.
really?
340. Yes. If you know anybody else that has more tickets than I received, I have 340
Do you think
tickets.
tickets mean persecution? Have you tried drinking the water in Nunavut?
120 courts, millions of dollars, multiple arrests, being put in metal cages, no water, no washroom, being suffocated, tortured, kidnapped, taken to a mag spot, taken without the evaluation of the doctors and the knowledge of the Alberta Health Services to a psych ward. All of those things are Soviet style torture. I've never heard anyone.
Yet, still better than how your God would treat a homosexual.
Well, if you got to beef with my God, you got to talk to him. I don't treat homosexuals with contempt. I feed them. I just don't want them to
Yeah.
attack my views and shoved that perversion down my throat and leave the children alone. Let the kids be kids. Let them grow up in a natural way. Here, you have an adult male dressed in a perverted, twisted, unbelievably sick way in front of a 5-year-old kid, and you think that's normal?
I think that you're taking because you jump around a lot. I think you're taking an anecdote and you're applying it to the entire segment of the population who doesn't identify as being heterosexual. So I think that's why at the beginning of this, I wanted to compartmentalize the transgender issue because it is very different, I think, from the rest of it. And I'm not agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's when we put them all together as one, and I actually disagree with activists that do that as well. But I'm just saying, like, there's a lot to unpack here, and I think a lot of it does explain why your vote count was low. I think that you are living kind of in the 50s here. Like
Well, that's
you keep on calling gay people, and I'm not talking about transgender people, people wearing the anecdote of people wearing dresses in front of 5-year-olds. I'm just talking about, gays and lesbians. And you've called it a perversion like a half a dozen times. People find that hateful and offensive. Like
well,
it is
and then
very
that's
sorry.
fine. That's fine. Then you don't have to worry about it. So why you
I do have to
worry?
worry about it because I have friends that are gay and lesbian, and I don't want them to feel like they're being persecuted, right? Like
Well,
you know what persecution feels like. You know what it
I'm
feels
being
like.
persecuted. I'm
But
being
don't you
persecuted.
but don't you find it strange that you feel persecuted and you are then persecuting an entire swath of this society?
But how do I persecute them? So
You just called them perverts about 5 or 6 times.
that's my opinion. Do you have opinions? Or if your opinions are contrary to my opinion, that means you're persecuting me.
I
So
don't
let's
have
say,
I don't
so
have
let's say,
opinions
let's
on,
say,
on
let's,
yeah,
let's say I,
I have opinions on religious people. But my opinion isn't that they're like nuts or crazy. In fact, I've become a little bit more soft on religion recently. You're kind of pushing me back in the other direction though, because the idea that God is committing murder because gay people exist is fucking insane.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Clearly.
Whatever your opinion is, it's your opinion. As long as you're not hurting someone, attacking someone, beating someone up, it's your opinion. You're entitled to
Okay.
be
I agree
homosexual.
with that. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Religious
Where does
identity.
opinion meet incitement, you think?
Well, if I would say, you know what, we need to get rid of homosexuals by, hanging them on every tree, then that would be a criminal offense, inciting harm. I don't wish harm on those people. Actually, I don't want to be subjected to seeing anything they do. Whatever they do, it's their personal business. Why do I have to be subjected to your personal sexual preferences? That's my beef, and that's my only beef with those people. I don't shove my stuff everywhere you look, everywhere you go with my sexuality. Why do you feel that you have to do that on the rest of us? And why you have to do that to the little children? That's my beef. Whatever you do in your bed, I don't care. I don't want you want to sleep with a donkey. That's your business.
Okay.
The animal activists are going to have a problem with you.
And now you just compared gay people to bestiality. This is what I mean. I just think that there is a way to go about, and maybe it's just religion. If you can defend a God that would purposely kill people with natural disaster because they're gay or because they sinned or whatever, I question that God, and I'm kind of happy I don't believe in that God.
That's fine. And that's your choice. I mean, every single person has been left with freedom to choose. If you're looking for God that loves you, well, he proved that dying for your sin on that cross. But if you will not repent, if you're not turned away from whatever you're doing, you can be a thief. Thieves will end up in hell. If you are murder, if you're rapist, if you murdered your own child, you want some more stuff? I believe that there is nothing worse than a mother murdering her baby in her own womb. There is nothing, absolutely, there is no more that you can add to your sin than when a mother murders her own beloved baby in her own belly in the name of convenience. So those types of people are murderers. They are the real murderers. You're comparing God and you're saying he's the murderer, but he created us and he died in our place for our sin. That's ultimate love. But if you choose your path of destruction, it's your own doing, it's your own sin that is going to get you dead in hell.
Part of the reason I have such a problem with the things that you're saying is because the hiding behind the religion aspect is a non-starter for me, because you cannot prove anything that you're saying because you can't prove that God exists.
Well, prove to me that you are a homosexual and you're attracted
I'll
to
send you a
another
tape later. I'm not a homosexual. I'm just
well,
saying. Yeah.
prove to me that two male are compatible. That they can work together in under the biology without the problems. We know that there's all kinds of problems with this act. I mean, I spent a lot of time, especially during the COVID era, with doctors, and they were telling me about what they have to do to those people when they behave in such a way. They have to sew their backs. There are all kinds of venereal problems, all kinds of psychological problems. There's a mess attached to something that is unnatural. So me, that's my opinion. My opinion is I think it's unhealthy. I think it's wrong. I don't want to see it. If you want to do it, it's fine by me. That's up to you. Keep it private. Your sexualization, keep it private. You will never see me walking around the city yelling and screaming at someone that has different sexual preferences. But when I'm being attacked by those people, when my children are being attacked, being forced to accept somebody else's sexuality or else, I call that homo fascism.
Okay. Artur Pawlowski, I appreciate you coming today, and yeah, we'll keep an eye on your case when your sentencing happens on August 9th. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, God bless. Bye.
Have a good one. Well, that was fucked up. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I'm turning a new page here. Blackballed. I'm a little bored of letting people talk. And I think that I did you guys a disservice in the past by just letting people say things. I think this interview is kind of like my first one at the gate since I went on my little mini hiatus there. I think I hope you liked that style of interview better, because there is a lot of things that he said that I just find very troubling. And yeah, so it's I'm kind of glad that I challenged him. That I was looking at this in one or two ways. The usual James, I would have just let him keep going and keep going and keep going, with the overarching idea that he would eventually hang himself. And then I opted for choice two, which is just like, nah, fuck it, just challenge him and see, and maybe you guys don't think I challenged him enough. I didn't want to turn it into a Fox News thing. I tried to keep it sort of light, but there was a bunch of stuff that he said that I found really offensive. And because I love Douglas so much, and other people in my friend family tree, several, I guess I know I'm friends, and real friends, not just like fake friends, but real friends with maybe, I don't know, a dozen gay and lesbian people. It just, they're not perverts. Out of all of them, probably I'm the most perverted. Right. So I hope that made a couple of people that are watching this, happier than it would have than they would have been if I had just sort of let them talk. So yeah, I appreciate everybody for watching. In about an hour, we'll hit you with Casual Friday, and we have a couple new things. So Spenny's going to join us, and what I'm going to do is when Spenny goes, I'm just going to talk to people who are in the chat. So I'm going to post the link. I know that Dan is coming out. And if nobody wants to come out, then I'll end the show early. But otherwise, I'm going to just keep people coming in and out for 15 minutes and just talk to you guys, my friends, the viewers, whatever. And so we'll see you at 9 o'clock on Blackballed.
Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed. Black.